It's a beautiful Central Virginia day, and we're set for a battle of prep powers as Woodberry Forest hosts Benedictine. I'm Jeremy Huber, joined by Brian Gardner. Monica Moore will be along in just a bit as we look at the beautiful campus of Woodberry Forest. And again, such a great day as we're ready for some great football action here. These two teams, Benedictine and Woodberry Forest, such good matchup. Brian Gardner, Jeremy Huber with you. Monica Moore will be along in just 1 second. And Brian, again, great records for both squads. Woodberry comes in at 4-0, Benedictine at 6-1. But in a sense, it's a little bit of a battle of David and Goliath size-wise out on the gridiron.
Yeah, you talk about a couple of good football teams, but different in terms of the size. I mean, the biggest matchup that we'll be looking at where there's that disparity is the offensive line for Benedictine versus the defensive line for Woodberry Forest. I mean, we talk about multiple guys over 300 pounds for the Benedictine O-line matching up with the D-line for the Woodberry Forest Tiger. Just one guy listed over 200 pounds, Jeremy, and just a size mismatch like that, it's going to be big in terms of showing toughness, grit, and speed. And it really extends to the skill positions too. Just to a man, this Benedictine team, the guys you'll see out there in white jerseys, they're bigger than the Woodberry Forest Tigers.
The one good thing, the Tigers have had experience this year playing against some big opponents. Talked to Coach Alexander, Eastern Christian, last week. He said it's almost like our guys looked like dolls up against how big they were, but they were able to go ahead and get the victory. Talking about this Benedictine team, let's get to our keys of the game for them as we look at them on our screen.
Yeah, you got to contain the speed. I mean, we talked about the fact that the speed is going to be hopefully for Woodberry Forest their advantage, and that's what Benedictine's going to have to shut down. They're going to show a lot of different defensive fronts and stunts and try and confuse the Benedictine O-line because that's what they have to do with that size mismatch, and just they're going to have to deal with that, avoid. And of course, this being a rivalry game, the emotions will absolutely be running high. That Coach Lilly told me in the week leading up to this that they really have come to enjoy playing this game, and it's a lot of fun. You look forward to it, and you got to get up and got to be ready to go, but not too emotional getting into the game.
Of course, there'll be a lot of emotion if our player to watch for Benedictine finds the end zone as he usually does. That'd be Scott Bracey, real standout in multiple positions for this Benedictine Cadets team.
Yeah, he's listed as a quarterback and a defensive back on the Benedictine roster, but he'll run the ball, he'll throw the ball, he'll catch the ball. He leads them in passing yards, in rushing yards, and also has a few receptions under his belt. It's an unconventional offense, not traditional in any sense of the word, and Scott Bracey really embodies that when you show all the different things that number 9 in the white jersey can do out there on the football field.
Already committed to Duke, though, as a wide receiver. Over to Woodberry Forest, their keys to a win today, Brian.
Well, we've already mentioned a couple of times the disparity in the size, and you've got to match the physicality because a team with a size advantage like that, they're going to try to push you around a little bit. The quarterback play, of course, with Lindell Stone is going to be key, and win on the special team side, and we're going to check in on a couple of guys, but they have a few high-quality returners, and especially Nathaniel Tyrell, who we'll talk about momentarily, a guy who's already run back 2 kickoffs for a touchdown and 1 punt.
Also an interception on the season. And let's talk about our players to watch for Woodberry Forest. And you mentioned it, Nathaniel Tyrell. Look at some of the plays. One of his big interception return. This turned a game earlier in the season. Actually had 4 returns, 4 touchdowns this season. And when you look at the game tape of this guy, one thing says he is a playmaker.
Playmaker indeed. And on the defensive side of the ball, we mentioned that he'll return punts and kicks for you as well. He's so fast, so skilled, and if you get the ball in his hands on the defensive side, as you can see right there on that playback, watch out because he can make a guy miss, and I've seen try to get him a couple of times going on the offensive side as well, but just an absolute playmaker, not the biggest guy, but absolutely the fastest guy you'll see out there.
And the guy Coach Alexander said the moment he saw him at their 7th grade camp, he was a guy who knew could play some great football. Over to our next player to watch, it would be number 1, H.T. Minor, the running back. He's earned the number 1 jersey this year, and he is a guy that really can get it done at the running back spot.
Yeah, the senior out of Washington, D.C. He's only about 5'9", but another guy just absolutely shifty, a playmaker. He's averaging almost 7 yards a carry on the season thus far, and we're just going to keep coming back to this. The speed will absolutely be the key for Woodberry Forest. You get the ball into the hands of your speedy backs or speedy kick returners and just let them do what they do. 6.7 yards per carry, almost 200 yards so far in the season. and Minor's going to be key for the Tigers, who are taking the field as we speak right now.
Again, Minor wearing that number 1 jersey, very special here at Woodberry. We'll talk about that as we move through the broadcast. Also to watch, the quarterback for this Woodberry Forest team, Lindell Stone, kid out of Texas, but he can play here in Virginia.
We touched on the quarterback play being a key to this game for the Woodberry Forest Tigers, and Lindell Stone, the 6'2" sophomore out of Highland Park, Texas. He has 5 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing. He's an accurate quarterback, completing 67% of his passes, and a dual threat guy who can run it as well as throw it, and leader of this offense, going to be absolutely key as you get a look at his stats on the screen right there, with 348 passing yards and 62 on the ground, so he can do a little bit of both things, and his play is going to be absolutely critical.
Our 4th player to watch, a guy who'll be protecting our man Lindell Stone, Clark Yarborough, the right tackle for left tackle, for this Woodberry Forest team.
And we've mentioned multiple times the size disparity, and this is where it does not matter. This is the exception to the rule. Of course, Clark Yarborough goes about 6'6", and big guy on the left side there. He'll maul you. He's coming off the line and just ready to hit you. And only in his 2nd year of organized football, Jeremy, and you would not know it watching that film right there.
Got all kinds of offers from different spots, but again, he's a good football player, can only get better considering how little experience he's had playing this game. Let's go ahead as we see the captains at midfield for the coin toss. We're going to go ahead, had a chance to catch it with both coaches before the game. Start things off with Benedictine's Greg Lilly, who caught up with our Monica Moore.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm standing here with Greg Lilly, head coach of the Benedictine team. Coach, you're playing Woodberry Forest today. What do you think the keys are against this team?
For us, it's always making sure that we get a running game going, defend good, do a good job defending against the run. This has become a good rivalry for us. The coaching staffs have a very good relationship. Clint and I are good friends, and it's a challenge for us. Every time we come up here and play these guys, because they do such a good job preparing. And he's got great kids who are really well prepared each week and play really hard.
Your team has been so successful already so far this season. You're very balanced. You have a lot of depth. What do you think the keys have been that have led to that success from your team?
You mentioned the depth. I think the depth has been given us the ability to make kids compete in practice. So we've gotten better each day in practice. The kids are working hard, and they have a great attitude getting along with one another. Really good teammates this year. So we've got a very unselfish bunch. This will be our biggest test yet.
And you mentioned how unselfish they are. I know that's one thing that you have to be really pleased with just about this team from their character. What other things have you been most pleased with about on and off the field from this team?
Academically doing really well. We've 3 years ago academically some of our kids struggled a little bit. We've made a bunch of strides getting these kids working harder in the classroom. We've sort of structured practice a little differently so that they're all in study hall all the time, and they're really doing well academically. As I said, they're unselfish teammates. They really get along with one another, and they enjoy being around one another. We're on the bus rides coming up here. You'd think we were taking a trip to Kings Dominion or Busch Gardens, not going to play a football game, and that's fun to be around.
Coach, best of luck today.
Thank you very much.
The athletes in today's game are friendly.
Let's get it another quickly as we also talk to Clint Alexander before our matchup today.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm standing here with Woodberry Forest head coach Clint Alexander. Coach, a bit of a rivalry game for your team today, and Benedictine, a good team coming in. What do you think are going to be the keys for your team?
We'll have to face the test we're going to deal with how big and physical they are. They're a much bigger team than us on the offensive side of the ball. So if our little tiny defensive line can hang in there, we'll have a shot.
And, of course, last week you faced a similar opponent in Eastern Christian Academy. They're a large team. Your team really displayed a lot of heart. What do you think were the keys to victory in that contest?
Well, the kids stuck with the game plan. We had some success early, which I think gave us some confidence. And today, the difference with today is Benedictine's played us before. They know us better. They'll do different things. It'll be a tougher game today.
You have balance at the quarterback position. You have 2 different players that you can put out there. Can you talk about what it means to have that type of depth and what we can expect to see today from that position?
Well, we play them both. We have all year, actually for quite a few years. I know there's 2 rules. If you have 2, you don't have 1. I really believe you're all as good as the second one. So we play them both like they're starters, and they've both been productive. So they run the same game plan, so there's not much of a drop-off. So hopefully they'll both have success.
And your team has had a lot of success this year. What are you most pleased with, and why do you think they have been able to have such an amazing start to the season?
Got some good leadership. when you spend all winter reading your death certificate, it really motivates the kids in the off season. So I'm really proud of the fact that they've met the challenges so far. We're probably playing way above our head, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Well, best of luck today, Coach.
Thanks so much.
Our national anthem here at Woodberry Forest, and we are almost ready for football here on this artificial turf surface. Really only this in the practice field, Brian, the only artificial turf surfaces around this place. Everything else is just beautiful grass.
Yeah, and just immaculate when you drive onto this place and look to your left and your right, and there's a golf course and everything. It's just a beautiful course.
Wonderful. Taking a look at our starting lineup for Woodberry Forest. Again, we talked about the guys to watch in this one. Have to think the two guys in the backfield, Stone and Minor, got to play key roles to win.
Of course, quarterback and running back, pretty much the most important on the offense in terms of skill position. They'll go offensively as they go with running behind their offensive line, and just it's going to be key what they can do.
Quickly on defense, the gritty little Tigers, we'll talk about that nickname in just a bit, but we're almost ready for football here at Woodberry Forest. Liam Hedge has it teed up back deep for it's Tennyson and Jones for Benedictine, and we are almost underway on this sunny day. The student section making noise to the left of us. Woodberry in black, Benedictine in white, and we are underway. High kick going to be taken by Tennyson. Hits off his hands into the end zone for another touchback on the year for Liam Hedge.
And the first kick, of course, you always like to see a return, but that's of course what you'd want to do as the kicker. And just talk about a beautiful day for football here, Jeremy. Just a few clouds in the sky, sunny, a little bit of wind is maybe picking up on our microphones and everything, but eager to get a look at this unconventional Benedictine offense as they hit the field right now, and Lacey's under center.
15th touchback on the year for Hedge, and Bracey under center. Has an I formation behind him. Tennyson is one receiver. It will blow this one dead, and likely going to be a false start on Benedictine.
We talked in the open about the playmaker, Bracey, the quarterback, who's committed as a wide receiver to Duke, who's also a defensive back and will run the ball and throw the ball, and really kind of a do-it-all guy. And just to see how how Coach Lilly just uncorks his toy that he gets to play with on the offensive side there, starting things up here in this game. It's going to be fun to watch and see what these gritty little Tigers can do to stop them.
So Benedictine, a false start that's going to move it back 5 yards. They'll scrimmage from the 15-yard line. 1st and 15. Again, Bracey, hands off up the middle. He'll be stopped for a minimal gain on the play and on the handoff. And let's go ahead and get it down to our Monica Moore.
Tackle by number 6, Duke Sherrill.
No. Okay. So a 2nd and 13 here for Benedictine, and Bracey under center. Handed off again, and a tackle in the backfield. Jones going to lunge for it, maybe for about a half a yard, but not much more.
It was nicely done. It looked like it was Duke Sherrill in on the attack, and that's twice they've gotten penetration on this big Benedictine offensive line to cut him down in the backfield, bringing up this 3rd and long.
And again, 3rd and 12 here. Let's get it down to our Monica Moore quickly. Off tackle and around the end, and stopped at the original line of scrimmage goes Jones. So a good stop for Woodberry on the play. Let's go again and try and get it back down to our Monica Moore.
Thanks, Jeremy. Before the game, I had the opportunity to talk with Woodberry Forest head coach Clint Alexander about some of the unsung heroes on his team, players that really have to step up today in order for his team to get the win. And without hesitation, he told me that you could pick out any member of his defensive line, but if he had to name just two, he would say senior Ryan Kim and freshman Hunter Young. Both of them had huge games last week against Eastern Christian Academy in that David versus Goliath style matchup, and he said he expected the same out of them today. They rotate a lot of guys in on defense, and he told me these two players set the standard. They set the bar so high, and everyone else on the field and everyone coming in off the bench really emulates these two players.
First down, Tigers.
And almost the fumble, the muff punt there by Tyrell, and Brian, probably some wind playing into that one.
Yeah, that ball went up in the air, and it almost stonewalled. It just stopped traveling forward, and Tyrell, who we noted as an excellent punt returner, has brought a couple kicks back so far this year, had to come up for it and just couldn't quite handle it. He couldn't quite judge how much the wind was going to take it. That's going to be a huge factor here this afternoon.
Four wides, for Woodberry Forest. Quick throw. That one's going to be caught. Roderick with a nice gain will be tackled inside the 30 down to the 26-yard line. Nice 15-yard gain to start things off.
And with the wind at his back, Lindell Stone showing off the cannon he's got attached to his right shoulder. Accurate, hard pass, and we'll see when they switch sides and start going into the wind how it looks. Take a look at the replay there, and just nice little juke move to pick up a couple extra yards and get this Woodberry Forest team moving.
Again, 1st and 10. Ball on the 28-yard line. Hand off to Minor. Off right tackle will eventually be brought down by Ellis Brooks, but not until he gains about 6 on the play.
So after that 3 and out for Benedictine to start the football game here, Woodberry Forest 2 plays and they're moving the football after avoiding that scare on that muffed punt. They did recover their own fumble and already approaching the red zone.
That's huge when you think about the fact that it could have been Benedictine. You get the stop and then give it right back. Instead, Woodberry down inside the red zone, or just outside of the red zone at the 23-yard line. Scott back to throw, pressured, quick inside screen, going to be caught, hit, and brought down and fumbled. And Woodberry looks like they're going to jump on top of it. Jack Sari ends up getting it, and that one going to the youngster, Khalid Thomas, just up from the JV team, trying to get his athleticism out there, but a little bit of a quickly, really some youthful exuberance, I guess we could say.
Maybe some jitters as you get your first touch of the game and trying to make something happen and kind of going east to west instead of north to south and almost losing the football.
And talked to Coach Alexander beforehand. He said, he's got athleticism. We're going to go and see. He's a quarterback for us on JV. We want to see what he can do up on the varsity. Stone, quick pass out in the flat. That one's going to be caught. Shea is going to have first down yardage and more all the way down to the 10-yard line. So the quick passing game working for Woodberry.
Nice little designed rollout, and Stone's just on the money with every throw so far, getting him going, getting your quarterback going early in this rivalry game, get some confidence, and keep moving that football along for a first down.
So the ball just the nose of it, as you can see, right on the 10-yard line. So they've got to score a touchdown here. A goal-to-go situation. 4 wide receivers. Stone and Minor in the backfield in a pistol formation. Stone tried to change the play, fumbles it, and Benedictine's going to get the ball back. He went to go ahead and audible and change the play. The center snapped it, and he wasn't ready.
Mikey McDonald looked like got in there and picked it up, and they can't dodge the bullets forever. That was the 3rd fumble already in this game. We've barely just begun and can't recover it every single time. As you'll see, it was miscommunication, and Stone walking up looking to his right. He didn't know the football was coming, and it hit him right in the gut, and he just couldn't jump on it in time. McDonald got there first, and it'll go back to the Cadets.
McDonald really the big play pass rusher for this Benedictine team. He's got a few offers, St. Francis, some Ivy Leagues as well. Had a big block punt last week against Bishop Ireton, was a really big play. So a 1st and 10 for Benedictine at their own 15-yard line after the turnover. Bracey stays at quarterback in the shotgun with Jones alongside. Man in motion goes across. And Bracey's going to look to run the option. He'll be hit and brought down, gets it back to the line of scrimmage, lunges forward with that big body for maybe a gain of 1.
The defensive front doing the work once again and not letting Bracey get going. The guy with the great speed, the quarterback, and nowhere to go as he maybe got a yard out of that and picking up where they left off, see if they can pick up their offense after they make the turnover in the red zone.
Talking about McDonald really had a partner in crime on the other defensive end. That was Clellan Farrell. Earlier in the season, he's a commit to Clemson, but tore his ACL in a preseason scrimmage. So really that bookend passing, rushing attack not there. Bracy back to throw. He's going to throw it out in the flat. This one's going to be caught out at the 20-yard line. Anthony Roberson able to make the catch for a gain of 5.
The tight end coming back to the football there, and a nicely thrown ball by Kevin Bracy. And we'll get another look at it here as he looks over to the left side out of the play action. Coming on the out route over towards the sideline, and just, you got a big man out there, 6'5". He'll go up and get the football as he's racing towards the sideline.
So we're going to call this a 3rd and 4. Need to take it to the 25-yard line for a first down. Now moving into the backfield, Ellis Brooks at fullback, and he'll lead block for Bracy. Bracy's going to be hit and swarmed under. Initial contact coming from Hardin Lucas, cleaned up by Joseph Stevenson. Tried for the quarterback run, did not work.
And when you're overmatched in terms of size, like this Woodberry Forest team is, the tackling and getting to the ball quickly, extra contact, joining the penetration, just so key, and excellent job by them to force another 3 and out to get the football back, and we'll see if the win comes into play on this punt as well.
Remember, Bracy the quarterback, also the punter, so always a fake possibility. High kick. Tyrell's going to go ahead and let it bounce, and hopefully his guys get out of the way of it, as eventually Benedictine will let it roll, gets a cadet roll down to the 41-yard line. So Woodberry will scrimmage from there. After that first good drive and good field position, they'll get another drive in good field position, and that was the key last week. Coach Alexander, when I had a chance to talk to him during the week, really said, hey, one of the reasons we were able to beat Eastern Christian last week is because we constantly had good field position. We were pinning them with touchbacks and good punting, and then we were returning the ball inside the 50, so always playing on short fields is always positive.
Yeah, when you got an electric return man back there like Terrell, and that's something that's going to happen. And the defense right now is doing the job more than anything. Of course, a little bit of aid from the wind as these punts have been short, and neither one has been returned yet.
Quick pass over the middle. That's going to go to King. He's going to run over to defender. He loses the ball. They'll say he's down.